Okay, so well, day one, right? Numbers 1 through 14 that we're going to start off with. If you have any questions, please stop me and ask. If there's anything else you want me to do towards the end, just ask me again. But we'll do 1 through 14 to make sure we kind of keep on track. So for number one, it said simplify each expression. Okay, so I'm going to have to distribute right here and right here backward distribute. Okay, I have to do in both directions because the -9 is on the back of that parenthesis, whereas the -10 is in the front. So if I go ahead and multiply -10 times -8, that's 80, and -10 times a positive 2x is a -20x. Sorry, not equals. I'm supposed to have a plus here, but I'm thinking it's going to change. Yeah, because -9 times 10x is -90x. So I'm going to put minus 90x. And then -9 times a -10 is a positive 90. Okay, so there's the distribution. I'll combine 80 plus 90, that's 170. And -20 minus 90 is -110x. So your answer should be D. Okay? And if you have questions, just either raise your hand or just kind of shout it out. But that would be number one. Okay? Remember, guys, this is worth extra credit if you turn it in on test day, which for you guys is going to be Friday at 10 o'clock-ish, somewhere around there. I forgot what the times are. 5 points. I'm going to give you 5 points. Sorry? Not a homework assignment, but it's a quarter of it. But yeah, but it'll help for your final. Just looking at your finals, your test starts at one. Oh no, you guys start 8:30. 8:30 in the morning. I forgot we're not doing this backward. We're going forward, right? So yeah, it's an 8:30 test. So you'll get this out of the way on Wednesday. Okay. All right, solving this equation here. Now, I noticed that these are like terms right here. So I'm going to rewrite this. 1 minus 7x equals 1. Okay. And if I subtract 1 on both sides, I get -7x equals 0. And if I divide both sides by -7, I get x equals 0. So my answer is B. Okay, number 3, we're going to multiply, and then we got to solve after. Okay, I'm going to kind of move this over. That way I can put the work to the right of it. So if I multiply -5 times 3x, I get -15x. And -5 times -5 is a positive 25. And this gives me 100. Okay, on the right side, it's just going to be equal to 100. Let's subtract 25 on both sides. So I get -15x is equal to 75. And if I divide both sides by -15, x is equal to -5. So that would be D. And again, if you've done this already, then you're just kind of checking your work. Okay, if you didn't do it and forgot, then right now you're writing stuff down, a lot of it, right? Or maybe just if you got the answer wrong, rewrite it. Okay, but make sure you guys are writing this stuff down. All right. Number 9 is an absolute value problem. And if you guys remember, absolute value problems always have two different solutions. Okay. So what you're supposed to do is get your absolute value problem and rewrite it in two different ways. Okay, so 9 plus 4x equals 15. So the first one just looks pretty normal. But then the other one, 9 plus 4x is equal to -15. You always change the symbol so the equals gets flipped, but that's still an equal sign. And then you change the answer at the end. So I think when I used to do this with you guys, I used to highlight this. And I used to highlight this, basically saying those are the two things that change. Now, the equal sign changing doesn't really make a difference. Equals in either direction. If you flip it, it still says equals. But that'll be important for when we do inequalities. Okay. And then you got to change that number at the end. So let's go ahead. We'll subtract 9 here. So I get 4x is equal to, what is that, 6. And then divide by 4. So x would be 3/2. Okay, so right now it's either A or D. Okay, now let's subtract 9 again. So I get 4x is equal to -24. And if I divide both sides by 4, I get x equal to -6. So my answer is D. By the way, I kind of did it really quick, but you notice how I check my answers when I find solutions? Because if I notice that only one of them had a 3/2 out of those 4, then I didn't even have to solve for the second one. I could have just said, well, 3/2 is the only one with 3/2, so I'm done. Right? You can save yourself some time by checking your solutions as you do your work. Okay? Because if your answer comes out and it's the only one that looks like that, then you're done. So there's number 4. All right, number 5. Again, if you guys have questions, just feel free to ask. Solve each inequality and graph its solution. Okay? So we're solving and graphing. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to distribute that 5. So this is -165 less than or equal to -4x plus 5 minus 30x. Okay? So that's the first thing I'm doing. Now, after that, I'm going to try to combine like terms. So -165 less than or equal to -4x minus 30x is -34x plus 5. And then I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. So -5 minus 5. So that's -170 less than or equal to -34x. All right, if we divide both sides by -34, then the answer on the left side will be 5. Remember, you got to flip the inequality because we divided both sides by a negative, and then you have your x there. Now, usually I tell you guys if you want to flip it so that could be a little easier to see your answer. I can write the x on the left side, the 5 on the right side, and notice how the original one has the inequality pointing at the x. So I'm going to make sure it points at the x. This is going to be the way it looks. Now, if you look at A, B, C, D, the only one that makes sense is A. So there you go. That's number 5. Now, number 6 is called a compound inequality. That means that it's multiple things put together. So let me write this out again. All right, so what you're going to want to do is solve for x. So you're going to divide everything by 10, okay? Divide everything by 10. So you get, not 10, I'm sorry, 2 greater than or equal to x greater than or equal to -8. This means that x is stuck between -8 and 2. Which one of those is the answer? X is stuck between -8 and 2. If you want to flip it around, yeah, I think it is C. Yeah. If you want to flip it around, it's going to look like this. Okay, so that's going to be your C value. So those are the first 6 on the first page. You guys have any questions on those? Remember, you're going to have questions just like these on your final. Like, not exactly, but, you know, just minor tweaks here. Instead of a 20, 10, and -80, it might be a 30, a 15, and a -60 or something. Okay? Same process will be done, just has different numbers. That's why you got to practice this stuff. Okay? Because if you can do this, you should be fine on the final. All right, let's move on to 7. So solve and graph. Now, this is another absolute value, which means that you have 2 different equations you got to write. So I'm going to write 9x is greater than 81, and then 9x is less than negative 81. And remember, this is the symbol that gets flipped and then the sign that gets changed, right? Two things have to happen. Okay, so you got to flip the symbol and change that value of 81, right? You want to change it to positive, negative. So let's go ahead and divide by 9. So I get x is greater than 9. Now let me look at my answers. X greater than 9. It's not this one. It's not this one, because that says x is less than 9. It's not this one. So the only one that it can be is D, because that actually has x greater than 9. Now, notice how they use the word or and not and. All these are and, just so you know, okay? Whenever they're stuck together, they're ands. Okay, how do I know it's or? Because this symbol points to the right. And if it's pointing to the right, it's an or. If it points to the left, it's an and. Right? So this way is and, this way is or. So I'm just going to keep solving though. Let's just get this done here. So x is less than negative 9. So you can see it's D. Okay, this is an or problem. So don't forget, you got to change the inequality. You got to change the sign on the number. All right, number 8. Find the slope. In order to find the slope, you're going to have to pick 2 points because they gave us a picture. So I'm going to try to find 2 nice points. Here's a point right here, negative 2, 2. And then here's another point that's pretty nice right here at 0, 1. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of connect these dots. I'm going to try to draw a little triangle, right? So I'll go like this and like this. Because remember, you have to rise first and then run. Or maybe you fall, then run. But I'm going to rise and run. So that means that my slope is positive. Okay? Now, let me leave a fraction there. How many times do I have to move up? What's the height of that triangle there? 3, right? And what's the base of it? Or 2, right? So it's 3 over 2. And that's your answer. 3/2. All right, so there's that one. Now this one wants you to find, number 9 wants you to find the slope using the formula because they just gave you 2 points. So remember the formula, I'll write it up here. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? That's the formula you're supposed to use for slope if you're given points. You could have used the formula in the previous problem too. You just get those 2 points and plug them into this formula, but most people prefer just to count. So remember, this is my x1, y1, x2, y2. So my formula, y2 is negative 8 minus y1 is a negative 4. Notice how I put a minus and then a negative in a parenthesis because I got to make sure my numbers match up to what they're supposed to be. And then my x2 is 12 minus my x1 is a negative 6. Again, I use parentheses to make sure that I don't mess up on the symbols. Now, m is equal to negative 8. That's a plus 4. So negative 8 plus 4 is a negative 4. And 12 minus a negative 6, that's a plus 6. That's 18. Okay? So if I reduce that by 2, I get negative 2 over 9. And there's my answer. All right, so let's check the next problem here, number 10. x1, y1, x2, y2. So slope is equal to y2 minus y1, 6 minus 6. over x2, that's negative 14, minus x1, that's an 8. Again, I didn't put a parenthesis around those because the numbers weren't negative when I subtracted. It wasn't minus a negative number. It was just minus a positive, so I don't need to put it in parentheses. So 6 minus 6 is 0 over negative 22, which is 0. So that's number 10. Number 11. Write the slope-intercept form. Now, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. In other words, solve for y. Okay, just solve for y. That's all you got to do. So I have 2x plus 8y equal to 24. I'm going to subtract 2x. I'm trying to get y by itself, so let's move the x's out of here. So that gives me 8y is equal to negative 2x plus 24. And then I have to divide everything by 8. So 8 here, 8 here, and 8 there. So y is equal to negative 1/4 x plus 3. So that would be A. For number 12, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to solve for y. Okay, so I got 5x plus 6y equals negative 30. And we'll subtract 5x. So I get 6y equal to negative 5x minus 30. Bless you. And then I'm going to divide everything by 6. So every term gets divided by 6. That gives me y equal to negative 5/6 x minus 5. So that's C. All right, so that's number 12. I think that's the end of that page. Any questions on page 2? The stuff that you guys did. Again, this is why it's important that you guys get this done before I do. That way you can see, did you know how to do it? Because if you didn't know how to do it, that's how you know what you're putting on your cheat sheet. If you didn't do any of these problems and you're just copying my stuff, then you have no idea whether you know how to do it or not because you're copying down my work, right? Unless you're kind of beating me in front and getting to the answer first, then seeing that you were right or wrong, then I guess that's okay. But yeah, if you're just kind of writing down what I'm doing, I mean, it's still helpful because you get to see it, but you never really tested yourself, right? You got to test yourself to see what you know. So it's very important you guys do this on your own at home. And if you don't know how to do it, just leave it blank, right? Just leave it blank, and then when you come in, you get the answer, and then now you know, I had no idea what to do. This is how it's done. Write that down on the sheet that I'm going to use for my final. Okay? Because if not, I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice just copying the stuff. Because this isn't even an assignment. You're not turning it in for normal credit. It's just a couple extra points for your final, which is great. But yeah, you really got to test yourself. You got to know, what you know. All right, last two problems that I have to do for today. Graph or sketch the graph of each line. Now, for number 13, remember that the formula looks like this that they're using. Y equals mx plus b. So this number is my slope, and this number is my y-intercept. Okay, so my slope for the first one is negative 6 over 5, and my y-intercept is 3. Now, when you do these problems, remember I tell you, you begin at your y-intercept, right? That's how you do. You begin, then you move. So B and M, right? Begin and move. So I'm going to begin at my 3 value. So notice I'm looking at my part A. Does that kind of look like it's passing through 3? Not really, right? It's a little lower than I'd like, but maybe. And then notice how my slope is negative. That means the line should be going in which direction? Up or down? Down, right? So A could be a possibility. Can B be a possibility? It's passing through 3, but it's going up, so it can't be that one. This one looks like it's passing through 3 and going down, so that could be an option. And D, well, that's passing through -3. So it can't be that. So let's go back up to C. Let's check out C. If this is 3, and here's 1, -1, -3, -5. So I'm going to kind of just draw these things out here. I have to go down, what was it, 6 and over 5. So let's see. Down 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And over 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that looks like it went through the right places. Okay? That looks like it went through the right places. When I stopped going down 6 over 5, I landed right on the line. And I did start at 3. That looks like 3. So I would say my answer is C. And remember, part A, it didn't really look like it was passing through 3. I mean, that looked like I was passing through... There we go. That looked like I was passing through, like, here's 3. That's what 3 looks like to me right there. So I was like 2.5 or something, right? But I just left it there because it kind of looked right. So, all right. What did I do here? Hold on one second. I think I moved the page up. Yeah, that's what it was. Give me a second. Yeah, I think when I was zooming out and in, I kind of went like weird. So I'll fix that after. Okay. I'll do it after we're done. Okay. Now for so that was C, right? We said it was going to be C. All right. Now for the other one, my slope is 3. There we go. My slope is 3. And my y-intercept is -2. So that means I'm looking for lines that start at -2 and that go upwards because my slope is 3 over 1, right? I can write that 3 over 1. So A is a good candidate. It starts at -2 and it goes up. B starts at -2 but it goes down. So this was not good. C, well, the B value is like at 1 maybe, right? It's crossing right here. That's not -2. I know the -2 crosses on the x-axis, but that's not called the x-intercept. The B value is called the y-intercept, so it can't be this one. And this one starts at +2, so it can't be that one. So I think we just eliminated everything, huh? So your answer is going to be A. Don't even have to count it out. Because we were able to see that it's not B, it's not C, it's not D. Okay? That's it. You're done. So those are 14 problems. Do you guys have any other problems you'd like me to go before I kind of stop the video? All right. So if there is, you can ask me later.